So today we're going to do the handover video on the Bailey Autograph 765. We're going to start on the outside and then we're going to move on to the inside. So firstly, if we come over to the passenger side, you'll notice that you've got your fill-up points, which are just here. You've got your diesel, which is just into there. Opening up the passenger side, on this model you have got Remis cab blinds, so all you need to do is simply pinch the little clip there and pull down on the blind, and as you can see, that just connects up to the side there. You've got these along the front as well, which again, using the magnetic strip will allow them to snap together. And whilst we're on the passenger side, you'll notice that you've got your bonnet release catch, which when pulled will release the bonnet. Coming around to the bonnet, there's not many things that you need to know underneath here. The main thing being, if you're ever jump starting the vehicle, or for example, if you need to fill up any bits with regards to washer fluid and stuff like that. So I'll open this up for you now. As you can see, with the bonnet open, with regards to your negative terminal when jump starting, that just connects onto that little nipple there, and your positive just connects underneath that cap there. It's very difficult to see on the video, but there's just a little plus sign on there which indicates positive, and you can flick that cap up and connect your terminal. Now, as I mentioned whilst we're underneath here, the main things that you need to know are your washer fluid. So when you're filling that up, your washer fluid is on the end there. And to point out a couple more things, in the middle you'll notice that you've got your power steering fluid next to your engine coolant, and then finally your brake disc fluid, which is just at the end there. When shutting the bonnet, let it shut down, slam down rather, so it connects in. Now moving to the side of the vehicle, you'll notice that you've got your hookup cable which goes into the vehicle here, and this will give you your power. Further down, you'll then also notice that you've got your whale system, which is for your water. So using your whale connector, all you need to do is put that into there, and that will simply allow you to fill up the tank and fill it full. To operate that, you need to turn your pump on in the vehicle, which will allow you to pull the water into the system, but I'll show you how to do that when we're on the inside of the van. We've also got up here your flue for the toilet, or not flue rather, your flush for the toilet. If you open this up, you've got a little area where you can put some pink fluid in there, and that will allow you to flush the toilet, and just keeps everything fresh and clean. And then beneath that, you have then got your cassette toilet, which I'll open up for you now. With that open, you can see that your cassette toilet, all you need to do is simply lift this handle up and slide out like so. Now, your cassette toilet is really important, so you need to make sure that the blade on the toilet is closed when removing that. I've done that before the video, but please make sure that that blade is closed. If the blade is open, what could potentially happen is you'll come to remove the cassette, and all that will happen is it will simply get stuck and jammed. Customers have then been tempted to pull them, and that's how it'll then snap the blade. So please make sure that the blade on the toilet is closed, and I'll show you how to do that when we're in the inside of the van. Now, sliding out, all you need to do is pull on the handle up at the top like so, and you can pull out just like that. I'm just going to place it on the floor just to show you how to empty it. When emptying it, all you need to do is pull out the filler neck like so, unscrew the cap, and then using the orange little button at the back here, click that in, and that will release a vacuum. The internal vacuum will make sure that all the water can simply flow out in one steady slurry without any splashback or anything like that. You'll also notice there is a little orange handle here which does turn freely. Please make sure that this is in this position at all times. There should be no need to turn this, as this is what makes contact with the blade with the toilet. So if this, for example, is just off slightly, it will not allow you to slide the cassette back in. And equally, if it is turned slightly because the blade on the toilet is open, this is what will get jammed. So please bear that in mind. Please ensure that it is all central and it's not touched. Putting it back in, as I say, slide that straight in like that, pick up with the handle, and all you need to do is simply line it up and slide in like so until the yellow little clip here connects into place. Now moving on to the rear of the vehicle, at the back here you've got your first drain down point, which is directly behind the rear wheel on the driver's side, and this is for your wastewater. All you need to do is simply turn that to empty the wastewater. It's empty currently, but that will allow you to drain the entire waste tank out. Now, whilst on the topic of drain down points, you need to make sure that all your drain down points are open, especially in the winter months when not using the vehicle, as that will make sure that all the systems on board are drained down and you will not get any frozen water in the vehicle. Moving down to the back, you've got your Alde heating system. This is your chimney for that, or your flue in essence, so that does get quite hot, so do bear that in mind. You don't want to hang anything on there. Coming to the back, you'll notice you've got your bike rack on the back along with reversing camera directly above that, and you can see that you have got access to the storage area, or the storage locker in the rear. Moving back onto the passenger side, you'll notice you've got your awning, which is up top here. Obviously when it is raining, the awning is not ideal to use, so don't use that because you'll have to dry it out, and especially if it is windy, make sure the awning goes back in, because you don't want to be using the awning because it'll simply damage it and potentially harm someone. Whilst on this side, you'll notice that you've got your Vision Plus aerial point, which is just there, which just connects into that there, and then your fridge vents are just here on the vehicle. Now you can buy winter covers for these vents if you wanted to, if you're storing it, and they simply go behind and clip into the fridge, but do bear in mind, if it is a hot day and you've got the sun beating down on this side of the vehicle, as you can imagine, it's not going to do it any favours. So if you turn it around, it'll help you. It'll help the fridge run more efficiently. Now that's the outside of the vehicle complete. We're going to move on to the inside. Moving into the inside, you can see that just above your door is your control panel. Your control panel is directly above your door, and you've got a little screen up at the top which tells you the time. It's just currently wrong at the moment. You've then got a little button here. It's quite difficult to see in fact on the video, but that is for your master switch. Your master switch will turn on and off your 12 volt system, so you can see when I turn it on, it turns on your lights, and when I turn it off, it turns everything off in the vehicle. So when using the van, turn that master switch on and that'll activate everything. Beneath that, you can then turn on and off your lights separate to your master switch, so you can leave all your 12 volt systems on, but obviously turn the lights off, for example, if you're in your campsite. And then next to that, you've got your little awning light. That's your door light on the outside of the vehicle. The final switch on here is your pump, which is again quite difficult to see in the lighting. There it is. You can click that on and that will activate your pump. Now I'll just close this door, but once you've selected the pump, you can go to your taps, including your shower, and turn them on and then turn them to hot. What that'll do is it'll pull water from the fresh water tank into your boiler and then out of the tap, and then obviously all the water that drains through into the sink plug will go straight into your wastewater. Now the fantastic thing with these taps is they've all got built-in isolator switches, so in essence once everything's primed up, you can leave your pump on and it'll only activate the pump when you pop your tap up. Now just going back onto priming your system, as I say, turn everything onto hot and turn it on. That'll pull water through the system, priming your boiler and then priming your tap. Once you've done that and it's running steadily, turn it on to cooled and do the exact same thing. And again, that's going to prime everything. Now I always say do it onto hot first, just to make sure that your boiler has got water in there, because when you start running your heating, it's going to take a good half an hour to get the water up to temperature, and obviously if you've no water in there, it's going to take a bit of time to pull that water through. So if you do that the first thing on the campsite and get your heating working, by the time you need to use your water, or you need hot water rather, it should be nice and warm to use. Now coming back up to the control panel, on here there's a couple of things that you can go through. In the middle you've got enter, so that's your select button. Either side you've got arrows. So if you run through the options, you can see that you've got your water level. It's quite difficult to see on here because of the bright screen. There we are. So you've got your water level, which at the moment is 0 because we've nothing in. You've then got the waste level, so we've got a little bit in at the moment, so it tells you your percentage. You can then fill the internal tank. So as I mentioned outside, you have a whale system on this vehicle, which will connect up to the external point. Then you need to come into the vehicle and select through these options. When you get to this, click enter. That will activate your pump and start filling the water tank up for you. Next, you've then got the external temperature, and then the user settings as well, so you can flick through them depending on the brightness of the screen and things. Next is the internal temperature, and then you can also battery select, so wherever your battery's pulling the charge from. At the moment, you can see that you can either have it on leisure or vehicle. So again, that just depends on what you want to do and where you want to pull the power from. Just flicking through them again. It then gives you your leisure battery amps, along with the voltage. As you can see, and then after that, you're back to the beginning. So that's more of an indication. Obviously, these buttons are operational buttons. Now next, you've then got your control panel for your bed. Your bed's really simple. You need to obviously make sure that the master is on to activate that. And then once you're in there, you can simply turn the key like so, and then you can press the button, and that'll allow you to drop the bed. Just like that. And then it will stop automatically once the bed is at the correct height, and then you'll get some ladders up to there. With your drop down beds, we say keep all the bedding on, but just with your pillows, I personally stick them at the front, but everything else can stay on the bed. Now coming back around, just to pop it up, again, just click that button there, and as you see, that will just lift the bed back into that area there. And again, like it was on the way down, that will connect, or stop rather, once it's up at the top. Now the final bit up here is your control panel for your Alde heating system. Click the button and that will turn on the Alde heating, as you can see. Now, if you click your menu, oh sorry, I've just turned it off. If you click menu, that will give you the options. So firstly at the top, as you can see, you've got your vehicle temperature or internal temperature. So you can turn that up and down. As a maximum, you can put it on 30 degrees as it's set now. Below that, you've then got your water temperature. So you can either have it, again, depending on how much you're using, you can increase it and lower it, depending on how hot you want it. Or you can turn it off completely. That is approximately, as it's set now, 40 degrees. And the full is approximately 70 degrees. 9 times out of 10, you'll be having it on 40 degrees for when you're showering, and then on 70 degrees for when you're washing up and things like that. Below, you've then got your option for fueling it. So you can either run it off electric, which is the 3 kilowatt option here. You can run it off 3 kilowatt, 2 kilowatt, or 1 kilowatt, depending on how much you have been allocated at the site that you're on. And then below that, you've then got the option of running it off gas. At the moment it's off, but you can also turn it on. Into the settings panel, you've got a few options through here, so you can change the brightness of the screen and the language, etc, etc. But the main thing on here is you can reset the system. So if you ever get an error code, so for example, if you selected a fuel that you haven't got, and it needs a reset, so you get an error code, just click that button, wait 20 minutes, and that will reset the entire system. Now to turn this off, just click that button, and that is your control panel turned off for the Alde heating. Now coming back over to your for your kitchen rather, you can see you've got your fridge, which is just below your sink. This is a Dometic system, as you can see, and this it's called a three-way fridge because there's three ways to power it. You can either run it off a 230 volt, as you can see with the little plug. You can run it off the 12 volt leisure battery, or finally you can run it off your gas, which is your little flame there, flame symbol there. At the moment it's in the off position, and then over here you've then got the option for the temperature, so you can change and alter the temperature. Now if you are running it off gas, you need to click your igniter switch, and that will allow you to power everything up. Now one thing to know, and it is for your Dometic fridge, that your three-way fuels are very important. So if you're on a campsite, you'll run it off your 230 volt electric. If you're travelling in the vehicle, you'll run it off your 12 volt, and then when you're wild camping, you'll run it off your gas system. Now a lot of people think that when they're wild camping, they can run the fridge off the 12 volt, the leisure battery. However, that is not the case, because if that was, you'd simply drain the vehicle of all of its power. So it will never let you do that on there. It'll only allow you to run it off gas when you're not travelling and when you're wild camping. The only time you run it off 12 volt is with the engine running. Now one thing to know in here is you've got your freezer up at the top and the fridge below. The fridge is really good at maintaining temperature, so put cold things in the fridge and then frozen things in the freezer, and then it'll do a good job at just maintaining that. You've then got your storage here, along with a cutlery drawer, and as you can see, thanks to the Baileys, they include a full oven and grill, which is just here. Above that, you've got your microwave, which is worth mentioning will only work off 230 volt, so will only work when using the vehicle. And then next to this you have your hanging space. Now in your hanging space you'll notice that you have got a tank, which is just here, which says Aldi on it. Again, it's quite difficult to see on the photo, so or the video rather, so sorry, apologies for that. But you've got this is basically your expansion tank, and you'll have a glycol solution in there, which is an antifreeze for your heating. So that's all that is. In the side here, you've got your freestanding table, so if you want to use that in the back lounge, you can do. And then up at the top, you've got your aerial. Your aerial is dead easy to use. All you need to do is just select the little switch on the top, and as you can see, the green light comes on. The green light indicates that your signal is going to be good, but for example, if you are in a place where you're struggling to get signal, all you need to do is unscrew this cap here, push this pole up, and then you can tighten it back into position, and that will allow you to get a better range. If you're still struggling, using the little handle on the bottom will allow you to tilt and angle the head of the aerial depending on how well you're getting on with regards to the range. Opposite this, you've got your bathroom area, which is just into here, which I'll open up now. And as you can see in the bathroom area, you've a radiator to keep everything warm, and your toilet cassette and your shower. Now your shower we've discussed about priming, so you're alright with that. But the toilet cassette is something that obviously we mentioned briefly on the outside on how to empty it. However, when in use, what you need to make sure of is that the blade, as I mentioned outside, is closed on the toilet. Now, with that in mind, this is the blade. This is a little silver piece of plastic that you can move sideways like so. Now at the moment it's in the closed position. To open it, all you need to do is slide it across like that, and that will open the cassette. So when in use, slide that across so all the waste can drop into the cassette, and once that's done, click the blue button on the top of the toilet, which I'll show you in a minute. That will activate your flush and allow you to flush all the contents into the cassette. Once you've done that, pull that sideways to ensure that obviously no odours are escaping, but it will also get you into the habit of having that closed, so when you come to remove the cassette, nothing's going to get snagged. Now coming back up to your toilet, as I've mentioned, you've got your the blue little button there which will activate your flush. Do bear in mind that you do need your pump on that for that to operate. And then finally on here you have a little indicator just to show you when the cassette is full. Now at the moment we have put some water in the cassette just to clean it out, hence why it is reading red. But usually if that was to read red, you just need to empty it. Now coming out of the bathroom area, as I mentioned, you have got your seating area at the front here with your drop down bed above. If you wanted, using the table which is currently at the back, this will drop down and slide into here. That will then create the base, and then using these two cushions you can pull them across, and then this will create the bed. Now in the floor you'll notice there's a hatch, so if I lift that up now, like so, you can see this is where your leisure batteries can be fitted. There's one in at the moment, but you have got space for another one should you want to fit another, and that is just in the floor for you there. You've then got your Bailey RCD breaker, which is just here, so if the vehicle ever trips you just need to come to this area here, and your fuses, which are all named below, are just there for you, so nice and accessible. And it is worth mentioning rather that underneath these seats you have got points for obvious storage. Turning around back on the floor into the middle of the kitchen area, you'll notice that you have got an additional small little hatch here, and you can see that you have got a tank which is just there. Now to access this tank, all you need to do is turn this like so, and you can pull up on here and remove the cap. This is for your fresh water tank, and as I mentioned on the outside, your wastewater is external to the vehicle, and draining down the internal water just needs to be done into here. So remove the cap, and in here, it's quite difficult to see, but you can see there's a little chain just into there. You just need to pull that chain, and that will remove the cork that's internal to the tank, and will allow you to drain down the entirety of the fresh water tank. Again, when travelling, you can make sure that you can leave these open. If you just get rid of the majority of the water, that will allow you to, of course, lower your weight. And as I say, when you're travelling, the vibrations of the road will get that majority of the water out as well. Coming back into your lounge space at the back, you can see it's just in the process of being valeted. But in the back here, you do have the ability to turn this area into a big bed. And underneath the floor, you have also a bit of storage. You have got another access hatch here, should you want to lift that up, should you want to access the wastewater tank. However, there really isn't any need for that, because your your wastewater drain down is obviously on the outside, as explained. In the back, along the long bench seat, you can see that you've got a bit of storage in here, which is really good, useful space, along with two infill cushions for when you're creating this into a bed. And on the other side, or at the bottom rather here, you've again got that outside access point, and another long locker as well, which is just housing your carpets at the moment.